This one, a little tricky.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
We're loosey-goosey tonight for all sorts of reasons, including a couple. First of all, we normally offer you video supplements to the program, and for technical issues we don't have that tonight, so we're just going to play some headlines in a moment and have that kind of jumpstart the conversation. But look, for those of you who are loyal viewers, and thank you very much if you are, you know that we record this program on Thursdays generally, unless there's something up, holiday, that kind of thing, around noontime, 1 o'clock on Thursdays. And so you see it on Friday on Fox, and you watch it on Channel 12 on Sunday nights, and in between the CW and a couple of other places, and it's all cool. And I'm always candid with you about that for timing reasons, because if we discuss something that is imminent, it could change from the time that we record the show and the time that you see it. Well, this is the ultimate one. I just keep getting stuck with these weird times, and I was kind of hoping that Joe Biden's press conference post-NATO would be early midday on Thursday, and instead the time keeps getting pushed back, blah, 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 blah. And as we speak, almost 1 o'clock on Thursday, he is scheduled to speak at 6:30. But the pressing issue of his status is so important, I think, and I'm just itching to keep talking to my friend Joe Cammarano, the political scientist from Providence College, about these things, that we are going to handle this conversation tonight like up until real time. You've got the unusual perspective of knowing how the press briefing went, if it went, and I'm guessing it went. And so you can look at this show as kind of, pregame, and then Joe's good enough to come back next week when we may or may not have a new nominee. We might have just forgotten the whole thing, and he's just soaring with a polling resurgence, or the whole race is over and we got Donald Trump and it's locked. I mean, who knows, right? But timing being what it is, I need to set that stage. So with no further ado, here's a headline from a poll which I think is really kind of fascinating. Biden and Trump tied despite debate as 67% call for president to drop out. That's so weird. Let's say hi to Joe. Thanks, my friend. You're the best.
Always good to be here.
Joe Fleming was here last week, the top pollster here in the state, and Joe is so good at just keeping you focused on what is real, and that is that polls are nothing but a snapshot in time right now. He's also pretty good at explaining that a couple of different things can be happening at the same time. And I got to tell you, Professor, there's a couple of different things happening at the same time with this poll, and that is, while the Cook polls yesterday accelerated the panic, I think, because swing states look like they are turning in the wrong direction for Joe Biden since the debate. Today, meaning Thursday, the ABC poll has them deadlocked, yet 2/3 still say, Joe, please get out. Fascinating.
It is, and it's not something we should find confusing. It's people who will vote for Biden, even if he stays in the race, don't want him to continue. I'm actually one of those. If he stays, I will vote for him because of my partisan tendencies. But the reality is, I really don't want him to be the candidate because I think it's bad for his health. I want his family to experience him more. And I think a lot of people understand when you get old.
Motives? Are those your top motives? He and his family? And
and electability, I think, is probably the most important for the people who want him out. But if he stays in, that doesn't mean they're going to abandon him. Remember, we have another old guy who does seem to have similar patterns of cognitive difficulties from time to time.
Who has gotten the worst free pass in the last 10 days
Absolutely.
I've ever seen.
Absolutely. But again, the reason is he sees politics as performance, and he performs well. He's a great tactician. He knows when to lunge, and he knows when to stand back. So I think that Donald Trump did get a free pass, but that doesn't mean Joe Biden should too. So a lot of people like George Clooney, who wrote what I thought was a very honest op-ed about why he thinks Biden should withdraw. That stuff is something Democrats can handle. And so they can have these dual positions where they're going to vote for him anyway, but they want him out. There's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of Trump supporters who are in the same situation. They can't stand him, but they're going to vote for him anyway because he's a Republican, because he stands for the issues they want to. They want to sort of promote.
Well, Trumpism versus Republicanism, the whole thing.
Right.
We can dig into all of that kind of stuff. By the way, when I say he has this free pass, I'm not mitigating in any way, shape, or form the problem that Joe Biden presented to himself and the country with that poor performance a couple Thursdays ago.
Yeah, the big difference, by the way, is that Biden used to be more rational. Trump has never been rational. And so now as Biden slides toward the tendencies that Trump has always had, we start seeing the problem in Biden.
What tendencies are you talking
Trump
about?
hasn't changed. Trump is Trump. He's
What
always been
tendencies
that way.
is Joe Biden
his tendency to stammer, to mix details up.
stutter all his life.
Yeah. No, he stuttered, but no, he wasn't the most eloquent senator, but he was actually
Stutter
pretty
is
cogent,
different than
coherent for decades. That's right.
Yeah.
And so he's stammering, he shuffles, his voice is weak. These are all indications that we've experienced with our parents and grandparents.
So why don't we do let's do a little retroactive thing here and talk about a couple Thursdays ago. You were kind enough to join me on the radio, and we kind of went through this, but we haven't done it on the TV side yet. So I was actually up in northern Vermont on a family trip, and I forgot that we didn't have we have network TV up there, but we didn't have cable. And all of a sudden I realized 10 minutes before showtime it's a CNN debate. Oh no! So okay, put it on the table, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it. I find myself just like this. And my wife says, "You okay?" I'm like, "No." I'm out on the porch. The family's doing their thing. They're not watching it. She said, "What's the matter?" I said, "It's over." I mean, that was my physical. It was 20 minutes in, Joe, and I was like this.
I had 4 conversations going on via text with former students or friends while I was also blogging at Live blogging. So I get what you're saying. It was panic. It was panic time. But again, remember, we panic in the moment. We often overemphasize
And I
the
know
bad
that
stuff.
because of my professional work.
Right.
But in the moment, I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop myself.
I found it very distressing, and it was that debate that led me to believe that Biden needed to retire.
And right?
Yeah.
And it's not
Because it also, by the way, connected to that special counsel's report saying we're not going to go forward with prosecution in part because he's a well-intentioned man who doesn't seem to have very good memory anymore.
And now the House Republicans are subpoenaing more information around his health care staff now to supplement their contempt effort with the Attorney General for not releasing the video of that interview that you talk about, which I think Merrick Garland's argument is okay. That says,
yeah, it's work product. That's nonsense.
If we start publishing work product
Yeah.
for every witness and every investigation that we have, we are going to stunt our ability to investigate crimes.
Absolutely.
And so I think the AG is correct, but don't let a stunt go by the House Republicans in terms of trying to make that a whole big deal. But I was crashing and burning psychologically watching this whole thing and seeing Donald Trump's lies after lie after lie. But I had to give him credit. He was poised doing it. He was a poised liar until he started to unravel. He unraveled in the last 40 minutes of that debate.
Yes,
Joe
he
Biden actually made a slight comeback, but the table was already set and the damage had been done.
Yeah, debates are all about expectations. If Biden was supposed to mop the floor with Trump and he doesn't, Biden loses. And Biden didn't mop the floor, and so he lost big. Trump wasn't expected to do all that well, and he didn't. And so he did as expected. And so people focus on Biden, not Trump. That's a natural part of processing information. Trump knows how to associate things. From now on, every time Biden does something that an old person does, people are going to make associations, and it's going to fundamentally undermine their trust in his ability to do
And
the
the
job.
argument, well, Barack Obama had a bad first debate, doesn't count. He was 47 years old and new to the big stage.
And I can't remember the incident, but there was an international crisis he was managing that day. I can't recall what it was, but I remember in the moment there was this horrible international crisis going on.
Now we're talking about this first debate.
Yeah. There was sort of
About Obama.
Yeah, Obama.
Well, he wasn't the president yet.
Oh no, this is the Romney debate. He was president. He was an incumbent.
That's right. His bad debate was the Romney
See,
debate.
aging.
Yes, see? You can't take me anywhere. Right. He did have a thing on his mind.
That's right.
But, bad debate. What are you going to do? This is a whole different story because the foundational concern for Joe Biden has been his age and acuity the entire way.
Absolutely.
And he just punctuated the concern.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't think he's ever going to get over that. He may still win. I don't make predictions. I wrote him off in 2020, and that was wrong. But the reality is he's never going to be able to overcome that impression.
All right, when we come back, we'll just talk about,
And I can tell you it doesn't really matter
what doesn't matter.
if he doesn't overcome it. If he wins, the administration's going to keep doing what it does.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Sorry.
Yeah, Democrats doubt about it doesn't remain. It's been a little bit of an ebb and flow. The NATO summit this week is getting such secondary news concern and coverage, and there's so much at stake. Whether Ukraine actually becomes a partner in NATO, and this whole war thing that's going on, right? It's really, how is Joe handling in the presentation and when he introduces the Secretary General? How is what happened there? You're in the middle of the camera. There you go. Okay. When the director does that, now here's semi-live TV. We've had guests do that, but when the director does that, the wheels are off. The director, as excellent as he is, will remain nameless for that brain spasm that just happened there. It was like an SNL bit. That whole thing when they used to walk in front of the cameras and monologue?
And he's the youngest guy in the room.
I think you know what, though? I think everybody's under a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's, don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody you meet is just under a little bit of stress, whether they're really focused on it or not. Everyone's a little uneasy.
I think our single biggest product in this country right now is stress and negativity. That it's been manufactured very well over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, if you're watching the show, we recorded this. I keep having to remind you, we recorded this show on Thursday before the Biden press conference. We will follow up together next week to kind of recap. Who knows what a week's time is going to bring? And that's the thing I was kind of getting to. And that is, every day has kind of had this ebb and flow. If you get a bad batch of polls, the whole thing grows up and one more House Democrat steps up. But behind the scenes, the pressure seems to be immense. I was listening to Congressman Connolly on with Manu Raju on CNN on my way in today, and he made a point, and that is, he says, inasmuch as we love Joe Biden and respect he and his family, they need to understand the White House itself does not control the exclusive authority on this decision. Give me your political science on that.
The Democratic National Committee is an association of 50 state committees and then territory committees, and they send delegates that are, by and large, elected through primaries or caucuses. And it's those people who initially are pledged. But the reality is the Democratic National Committee, which is all these people from around the country, call it a stratarchy, doesn't matter. They're the ones who can disrupt any normal process and deal with any problems that arise, like in 1972.
The parties are private organizations.
Oh, yeah, of course. They're what we call mediating organizations, parties, interest groups in the mass media, and to some degree public opinion, but it's not really an institution. But it's an institution that is an intermediary between citizens and government. And their main goal is to win elections. Because they win elections, they can implement their agenda. And they have coherent agendas that they make promises to, and all the research says they try to follow through on those promises, 3/4 of the time at least.
So the idea that primary voting and general election voting are the same thing is a misnomer.
That's right. That's exactly right. There are
We're
two
not going to
elections.
disenfranchise 14 million primary voters. Well, guess what? They're different voters. They were invited to the party literally, as opposed to exercising their constitutional right to vote for office.
That's exactly right. There are two elections. There's a nominating election and there's a general election. Nominating election is overseen by states, but it's really controlled by the parties. They write their rules, they have to conform to certain laws, but generally they get to decide. So for example, the superdelegate idea that the Democrats have had since 1984, last election the progressives hated that, and so they got the party that changed the rules so that the superdelegates can't vote on the first ballot. They can vote on the second ballot. And so the only ones who can vote on the first ballot are the delegates sent by the states, usually through primaries. Those are the people who control it. So about 4,000 people control this outcome.
All right.
And they're activists. They're elites.
Let's pretend
Yeah.
that the press conference went predictably difficult but not devastatingly horrific.
Okay.
He didn't look great. He didn't look good. He got defensive. He didn't answer questions directly, but he didn't fall down, and his teeth didn't fall out of his mouth. Okay. And the conversation's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Clock is ticking toward the convention.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican convention is next week. The big surprise will be whether Donald Trump, I don't think Donald Trump's figured it out yet who his vice presidential nominee is going to be. He'll introduce him one way, shape, or form, or pull a rabbit out of his hat. It could be the North Dakota governor, could be the senator from Florida, could be the senator from Ohio. Who knows what it's going to be. But that will grab a lot of attention. There'll be a little bit of respite for Joe Biden in that vacuum, correct?
Yes.
So what will happen in that interim time over the course of this next week for the Democrats?
For the Democrats, I think what will happen is that we're going to hold our breath every time Joe Biden does a public event. So when he does an off-the-cuff thing without teleprompters like the press conference.
Will the press conference be like the event for the week?
It'll be the event for the week. And then what will happen is if he does mediocre or worse, mediocre is below average, there very well could be a private meeting organized by Chuck Schumer
and Nancy.
And Nancy
Pelosi's on MSNBC yesterday, Wednesday, saying, we're waiting. He's got a short window to make a decision. It's pointed out to Nancy, he's already said he's running.
He said he's running, but remember, Joe Biden has been underestimated his entire career, and if he had gone away when people told him to, he would never have been vice president. So this is a guy whose whole idea of himself is I'm the underdog, I'm never going to give up, because when you give up, that's when you lose.
The White House report, according to the New York Times today, the White House is polling Kamala Harris.
Absolutely. Lots of places are doing that. And, she's not doing as well as Biden in most polls. Some polls she is. But remember, this is a function of hypothetical versus reality. Biden's the real president and the real candidate.
I think she's been a burden to him in a lot of ways, but I think she could explode. I think she could explode. She'll
think,
prosecute Trump viciously.
I got to be honest. I think any younger candidate, meaning under 60, and that's the youth these days,
I
will
take
do the
umbrage with
same.
that.
Hmm?
I take umbrage with that.
Yeah, so do I.
How about under 65?
All right, under 65.
Thanks.
All right. So, but the reality is that I believe that any of the people who are being discussed, whether it's Whitmer or Harris or Shapiro or even Newsom, will have the same effect. I think what happens is if Biden doesn't do really well tonight, he might submit to this cognitive test on the condition that Trump does it.
Why on the condition? Listen, if you love the country, you either pass a cognitive test and everybody relaxes a little at least.
Mm-hmm.
If you fail it, you can't be the president. I mean, I don't understand. You're still going to retire. It's not like you're going to drop dead because the cognitive test didn't go well.
Well, again, I think probably cognitive scientists might be able to tell us why, and maybe a few psychiatrists.
I mean, I don't understand if he loves the country why he hasn't just jumped in and done them. The neurological testing that he's doing normally does not require. If an MRI doesn't show a problem, they're not going to give you a cognitive test. But if you're displaying problems, they're going to give you a cognitive test, which will cause him to go back to those tests. Why doesn't he just take it?
Uncertainty.
Take it!
Rigidity. I agree 100%. I believe every presidential candidate should undergo a comprehensive battery of tests at Bethesda, at the Naval Hospital, and the report should be completely public, because presidents have kept secrets in the past. They keep secrets now.
By law or by moral conviction? I mean, this is a political science question in itself.
By both. Remember, we live in a liberal society, small L liberal, where individuals are in privacy matters.
I got a break. We'll figure that. And then there's Carville's idea. See if we can cover that in like 60 seconds. Be right back.
Carville's the same.
The famous James Carville, who was the engineer of Bill Clinton's success, says Biden has to get out. He will get out. They ought to have kind of a mini playoff series that they run with town hall meetings that Obama and Clinton run, do a whole thing, do a qualifying thing into the primary, into the convention. The convention's is big to do, and the nation will be captivated by it, and the momentum of it will cause like this historic, unprecedented thing for a sprint to the September mail-in ballot season and go.
Yeah, there's something called the political spectacle, which is an academic concept that basically says if you build a unique spectacle, like Donald Trump does every day, people will pay attention and it will ultimately help you. And that would be a spectacle.
Sources are telling a lot of mainstream media out of the Trump organization that their biggest fear is that Biden gets out.
Yeah, I think the only person being discussed as a potential Democratic nominee that will lose is Biden.
Thanks. We'll talk next week.
Okay.
Final word. Thanks. All right, Joe will come back next week, and we'll have it all figured out. I promise. Good night.